In this video, we're going to look at how gold is performing overall and why it's so interesting right now as we come into the end of 2023 and as we enter the start of 2024. And then we're also going to look at some of the top performing gold stocks of some decent size. I've limited to stocks that do at least 500,000 shares a day on average and are priced at least $5, and they trade on the NASDAQ stock exchange or the New York Stock Exchange. So none of the really tiny gold companies, but we're going to look at some of the bit bigger ones that have been performing really well. While gold is up about 10%, 11% over the last year, these gold stocks are up more than 40%. So we're going to look at how gold prices and the price of the gold stocks, how they get reflected, and we'll learn some interesting things that gold stocks tend to underperform gold over the long term, but in the short term can have much bigger moves than gold. So first, let's look at the price of gold. This is a weekly chart, so we're looking at quite a bit of data. This is going back to 2009. You can see this really big run up, 2009 into 2011. Then we had this really long drop, multi-year drop from 2011 into 2015, and we started to recover after that. So we can see this big cup and handle like formation, and for the last couple years we've just been stuck near this prior high of 2011 and just stuck there. What this means, though, is that if we get a breakout of this range, we are likely going to get the next phase of the bull market in gold. So we're started this rally, now we've chopped sideways. If we continue higher, this would be what we would expect. Where is the arrow? So we'd expect to move up in there. We can take the size of this range and basically stack it on top of the range to give us estimated breakout. So if we basically just take this and stack it on top, that gives us an estimated target of about 240 on, this is the Spider Gold Trust ETF. If you were to use futures contracts, the actual price of gold, we'd have a target of about 2,600. So whether you're looking at actual futures and gold prices or gold, that would be about the target. So 2,600 for gold. So this is what makes gold interesting right now, is this big breakout potential, and we are hanging out right near the highs of this big multi-year range. The problem with this is that the longer the range lasts, we don't know when the breakout could occur. We could chop sideways for another 6 months, another year. We could move back to the bottom of the range and then eventually break out, or maybe we break out the bottom of the range. So this has been going on for quite a while, but we could get that breakout because we're sitting near that level right now. So let's look at some of these stocks. So the first one we're going to look at is Harmony Gold. Take a second to show up. Let's put it on percent. And the first thing we notice is that let's just throw all these on for a second. You'll notice that, so this is the gold price here. Over long periods of time, these stocks have underperformed. Gold's up 300% going back to 2005, and most of these stocks are in the negatives. Over shorter periods of time, we'll notice they perform well. So I wanted to look at this period here. We can notice a big rally in gold from 2018 up to mid-2020. So if we zoom in on that area, you'll notice that the gold stocks greatly outperformed. Gold did have a nice run here, starting from down here up to here, but in percentage terms, these stocks had much bigger rallies. Some of them rallying up to 400% on that rally. Not quite 400%, 360. Some of these other ones in the 300 area, 250. So multiple times the amount of movement that gold had. So that's something we want to keep in mind. If we look at this period here, from late 2022 through to the end of 2023, we'll notice the same thing, that the gold stocks just have way more upside potential. So we can see gold going back to late 2022 up about 22%, and a lot of these gold stocks are up 70%, 110%, 113%, as you can see along the scale on the right. So that's very interesting. Something to keep in mind, that a lot of these gold stocks are not great for long-term investment, because basically a mine is a depreciating asset. So they're always out there trying to find the next find, and they're mining up what they have in those mines, basically sort of depreciating the value of the company. So a lot of them don't really perform well over decades, but they do perform very well when gold is performing well. So that's the main takeaway from this, is that you can get a lot of bang for your buck in gold stocks when gold is moving up, but be very careful. Once gold starts to drop, these just drop a lot more, as we saw when we looked at the long-term chart, which then over the long term is just going to eat away at the capital you're holding through huge declines. So now we want to think about this. If gold does break out, these gold stocks are likely to perform well. You could look at other ETFs such as GDX, which is the gold miners ETF, or you could look at individual names such as these. These are picked just because they are the strongest, bigger gold stocks listed on the NYSE or the NASDAQ over the last year. So as of the close on December 12th, 13th, we had Harmony Gold up 76% over the last year and 41% over the last 3 months. Eldorado Gold, EGO, up 55% over the last year, 30% over the last 3 months. Kinross Gold, KGC, up 45% over the last year, 23% over the last 3 months. And Alamos Gold, up 43% over the last year and 18% over the last 3 months. So really strong performance, and we can see that playing out here on these stocks, greatly outperforming the price of gold. If gold continues to run and breaks out, you can expect that to continue. If gold flounders or starts dropping again, these stocks are likely to have bigger drops, because they tend to overshoot to the upside and then overshoot to the downside. So that's what we want to be keeping in mind here. So you could just trade gold, of course, or if you want to potentially capture some bigger moves from this gold move, you could check out the gold stocks such as HMY, EGO, KGC, AGI, all performing better than gold in recent months and this past year.